2023 ACES AAC Speaker Series, Tech Owl, Institute on Disabilities, Temple University. All Access Life, Thursday, July 27th, 2023. Bradley Heaven, born with nonverbal spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy, never lets anything hold him back. Brad has used AAC devices since the age of 4. AAC devices have allowed Brad to live his life to the fullest and complete high school and college. His integration aide Dan started working with Brad when he was in grade 7. Now, 13 years later, they are best friends and run a nonprofit business together. They decided to use their experience and knowledge of AAC and adaptive products to empower others with disabilities to live their best life. Their presentation will focus on their journey together through high school and college, the evolution of AAC devices Brad has used over the years, and a look inside their business, All Access Life.
For joining our session here today. We're super excited to have you a part of this presentation. We'll start things off here with a very brief introduction. So my name is Dan O'Connor. And just to explain what you guys are seeing here on the share screen. So Bradley is actually typing everything out right now using nothing but his eyes on his eye tracking device. That's called the TD Pilot right here. He's using a software called TD Talk. And whenever Brad's finished typing out his message, he just looks at the play button and then the device speaks out the message.
Hey everyone, my name is Bradley Heaven.
So yeah, jumping back in here to the introduction. So Brad and I, we are the founders of a nonprofit organization called All Access Life. Now our mission with our nonprofit All Access Life is to empower people with disabilities to live their best life. We have a website called allaccesslife.org, and we also have social media channels at All Access Life.
In today's presentation we're going to discuss how the eye tracking device I'm currently using, the TD Pilot, has totally changed my life and gives me the ability to run a business, socialize and stay connected with my friends and family, control smart home technology, and much more.
Yeah, before we jump into the specifics of Brad's device right here, the TD Pilot, we want to give you guys a more in-depth introduction about ourselves and our journey together. So, Brad, you want to kick things off?
Yes. Hi everyone, my name is Bradley Heaven. I was born with nonverbal dyskinetic quadriplegic cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is caused by lack of oxygen to the brain at birth. When I was born, it was scary for my parents because they didn't know anything about cerebral palsy and weren't sure what my life would be like. Finding out I wouldn't be able to talk or control my muscles was shocking news to them. However, they soon realized I was able to understand what was happening around me. The specific moment they found out I was able to understand was around the age of 3. We were all watching the movie, The Fox and the Hound. When the lady dropped off the fox in the wild and left him, I started to cry. My parents knew at that moment I could understand. I'm fortunate to have a very loving and caring family who take great care of me, and who were my voice growing up when I didn't have one yet. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters and I am the baby of the family. I also have a nephew and 3 nieces, who I love to the moon and back. Around the age of 4, I was introduced to the world of AAC, which stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication, which is a term that's used to describe various methods of communication that can help people who are unable to use verbal speech to communicate. AAC methods vary and may be personalized to meet each individual's needs. As the years went on, I continued getting an education and advancing my communication skills at my elementary school, Mackay. The Mackay Center School educates children with motor, speech or sensory difficulties, and they had a huge impact on my life. I had so many amazing influences at Mackay that helped me grow as an individual, and helped me learn how to communicate, such as speech and language pathologists, occupational therapists, teachers and support staff. When I was in grade 6, these same people that had a huge impact on my life pushed me to do something that I was extremely nervous about. The majority of the students with cerebral palsy move on to a specialized program in high school when they graduate from Mackay. However, the staff at Mackay had other plans for me. They wanted me to go to a mainstream high school because they were confident I would thrive. I had so many questions like, would I be bullied? Would I be able to make friends? Would I be able to attend dances? Would I be able to participate in gym class? We decided a high school called John Rennie would be the best fit for me. Both my brothers went to Rennie, and we heard they had great resource staff that would make sure my needs would be met. I was also told I would have a young male aide that would be by my side all day every day. My original aide's name was Chris. He was with me for the first 2 months when I entered grade 7. However, Chris moved on to another job, and the staff at Rennie and the Lester B. Pearson School Board had to find me a new aide. They wanted a young male for the role since they would be able to better relate to me. This is when Danny stepped in as my full-time aide.
Yes, this was all the way back in 2010 when I took on the role as Brad's full-time integration aide. I remember at the time I was 19 years old, and it led me on a journey I never would have expected. I remember when I first heard about the job working as Brad's aide. At first, to be honest, I really didn't think I could do it. I had recently paused my studies while I was attending college, just to take a year off and kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I also had no experience working with someone with a disability. But I was at the time in my life where I knew it was time for me to step out of my comfort zone and try something new. So that's when I decided to take on the role as Brad's full-time integration aide. I'll never forget the first day working with Brad. I remember it like it was yesterday. Remember we kind of locked eyes for the first time, flung his head back on his power chair, and then his power chair started veering in my direction. When he got close enough to me, he then hit a button on his tray, and then he started moving his head from side to side and hitting these switches and making a sentence on a device called the Dynavox. I just remember at the time I was just so fascinated by all this, and it was so new to me. We have a clip for you guys right here that I'll play, just to give you guys an example. This is right around, right before Brad entered grade 7. There Brad is driving the power chair with his head. And then right here, he's hitting the button on his tray. Now, once he hits that button, he moves his head from left to right there. He uses the Dynavox to make out a message. So yeah, at first glance, seeing Brad's power chair, the head switches, the Dynavox device, all the wires on his chair. I remember at the time I was just very overwhelmed by all this, and I wasn't really sure how to properly interact with it. It didn't take me long to realize that these were just tools that Brad used to showcase his vibrant personality. Now, Brad and I, over all these years working together, we developed an extremely strong bond, one where I always like to joke and say, I know what Brad's thinking a good 99% of the time, but that's definitely not always a good thing. So this was all the way back in 2010 when we started working together. And now here we are 13 years later, best friends, and we're running a business together, our nonprofit All Access Life.
AAC has allowed me to live life to the fullest. It has allowed me to interact with the world around me and express myself since I was 3 years old. I'd like to give you a history of my AAC. When I was 3 years old, I started using a low-tech communication book. This method of communication required me to rely on someone else to point out options, and I would nod my head yes or no. Sometimes it was frustrating when it took the person a long time to figure out what I wanted to say. Some people were faster than others, so it all depended on who helped me communicate. At the age of 5, I was introduced to my first AAC device called the Dynavox 3100. I loved this device because it gave me independence. I no longer had to rely on anyone to communicate. I used 2 head switches to navigate the device. One head switch would scroll through options, and the other would select the option I wanted. One of the things I found frustrating with this device and the future generations was the switches had to be plugged directly into the device. They ran alongside my wheelchair and would often pull them out by accident, and the device would stop speaking. This was very awkward during presentations. Thankfully, I have nothing to pull out now, so I can keep on talking. Ha ha. At the age of 10 I upgraded to the Dynavox VMAX. This device was much more powerful and faster than the 3100. The communication software was also much more user-friendly, making me a faster communicator. I used this device for the first 2 years of high school. However, it soon became pretty outdated compared to all the other computers and technology my peers were using. In grade 9, I heard talk of this new communication device called the Dynavox VMAX Plus. It was much more powerful and faster than my current model. Danny and I reached out to the tech support team at Tobii Dynavox and got all the necessary information about the device. We then contacted my speech and language pathologist, an occupational therapist from the school board, and set up a meeting with them to let them know about this new game-changing device. After our meeting they went to work, got a quote, and soon after, they ordered me this new device. I received the Dynavox VMAX Plus a few months later, and it had a huge impact on my school work, communication skills and social life. I'm thankful that Danny, the resource department and the professionals from the board listened to my needs and ordered me this device. Soon after upgrading, Apple came out with an accessibility feature called Switch Control, which allowed Switch users like myself the ability to use switches to navigate an iPad. I was ecstatic about this feature. I was also very excited about now having access to the Apple ecosystem and apps. I could now use apps my peers were using like Snapchat, Instagram and more. I also liked the fact that with the iPad setup, I no longer had switches running alongside my chair. I plugged my head switches into a device called a Tecla Shield, which was on the back of my chair and paired via Bluetooth to the iPad. This device got me through high school, and I used it for the first few months of college. I soon realized writing college essays and exams using head switches was extremely fatiguing. While attending a conference during my first year of college, I got the chance to test out eye tracking and was excited about its possibilities. Danny and I discussed it and decided I should get my own eye tracking device. I am afraid of change, so I was hesitant. I had been using head switches for roughly 15 years, so it was all I knew. Danny was confident it would allow me to communicate and navigate my device much quicker. He was right. I eventually got my own eye tracking device, and we were both amazed how fast I was at communicating with my eyes. Typing seemed like it was almost instant now. I now had the ability to join in on active conversations. With head switches, by the time I got my message out, the topic of conversation was often changed. With eye tracking, this was no longer the case.
So yeah, just to show you guys how much faster Brad is at communicating on his eye tracking device right here compared to his previous methods, we had him spell "I love green" on all 4 methods he's ever used, starting with the communication book, the Dynavox, the iPad, and then the eye tracker. So this video, you'll truly get to see how much quicker Brad is. You see with the communication book right here, so somebody would have to point at the options and Brad would simply nod his head yes or no. So like he said, depending on the person, sometimes it was faster or slower. So with the communication book, it took him roughly 1 minute to spell "I love green." Now this is with the Dynavox. So this was awesome because Brad was able to communicate independently here. He didn't have to rely on anybody else. As you can see, one head switch is the scrolls 2 different options, and the other one narrows them down, kind of like an enter button. With the Dynavox, it took Brad 1 minute and 32 seconds to spell "I love green." Now this is the iPad. So Brad got this device, I believe it was around grade 9 or grade 10. And same type of thing, he still had the head switches. He was using the switch control accessibility feature from Apple. So he had a vertical and horizontal bar you can see there. This required a lot of dexterity, and Brad would have a lot of misclicks this way, so it was pretty frustrating for him. But it was a little bit faster than the Dynavox, at least for Brad. So with the iPad, it took Brad 1 minute and 25 seconds to spell "I love green." And now this is with the eye tracker. And as you can see with the eye tracker, it only took 12 seconds. And here's a little bar graph here just to show you the results. And you can see the eye tracker is in a league of its own. So yeah, for me, it's been so cool to see the progression of assistive technology that Brad's used throughout the years. Like I mentioned, when I first started working with Brad, he was on the Dynavox device. So when I first met him, I believe one of the first things he said to me is, "Hey, Dan, my name is Brad." And I believe that took about 3 to 4 minutes to spell out the entire thing. And now he can type something like that in like under 10 seconds. So it's just amazing how far it's come. So yeah, over all these years, Brad and I, we obviously developed a huge passion and knowledge of adaptive products because Brad uses them on a regular basis. So we said, hey, why don't we combine our knowledge, our experience, and our passion with all these adaptive products and pieces of assistive technology to create the first ever
one-stop shop
for adaptive products. So Brad and I, one summer, we went to work making a website. I believe it was about roughly 8 to 10 hours a day. We were plugging away on the website. We basically categorize different adaptive products for various disabilities. So we kind of made it like a one-stop shop. You go on the website and you see what's available for the disability that you're looking for. We also launched our social media channels and officially launched our nonprofit as well. Now, one of our favorite pieces of adaptive products we've ever got our hands on, or in Brad's case, his eyes, is this TD Pilot device right here. So we actually also had the opportunity to unbox the TD Pilot device, and we'll play that video for you in a little bit, and it'll go over some of the key features.
This device has quite literally changed my life. Having the ability to access the entire Apple iOS ecosystem using my eyes is revolutionary. I now have the ability to go on the App Store and download any app I want. I can download apps for productivity, gaming apps, social media apps, smart home apps, and much more. A few examples of things I can do now are, vacuum and mop our office floor, thanks to an app that allows me to control the cleaning robot we have at our office, unlock and lock our office door, thanks to an app that allows me to control the smart lock attached to our door, turn the lights on and off, thanks to being able to communicate with Amazon Alexa through the TD Talk app. I have access to the app that we use for banking, so I always make sure our rent is paid on the first of each month. I love that I can use iMessage, Facebook Messenger and all of the other social media apps. I love staying in touch with my family and friends. Another thing I love about this device is how easy it is for the person setting me up. All they have to do is clip on the device, press the power button, then I'm off to the races. With other devices there were a lot more steps involved and a lot more that could go wrong with the setup. The cameras on this device have also allowed me to take my photography skills to the next level. For example, when Danny and I were in Vegas in January, I took almost all of our photos using the TD Pilot. Also, while Danny was filming our YouTube video on our main camera, he later realized the camera died while he was testing out a stair-climbing wheelchair. But, guess what? I filmed him going up the stairs on the TD Pilot, so technically I saved the day, ha ha. I can't stress enough how important Zoom has been for me these past few years. I'm a very social person, so being able to meet virtually with friends and family is very helpful for me. I love how I'm able to share my screen with people on the call. This allows Danny or I to explain how my eye tracking technology works. Danny and I also use Zoom to take our business, All Access Life, to the next level. Zoom is extremely powerful for networking and meeting people or companies around the world. We have upwards of 5 Zoom meetings every week. This device is everything to me. As Toby Dynavox's slogan says, it truly does give me the power to be me.
100%. So now I'm going to take over the share screen from Brad here. And we're going to play the Toby Dynavox unboxing video that Brad and I had the chance to do. I believe it's about like roughly a year and a half ago we did that. So right when the device got released. What's going on, everyone? Dan and my main man Brad here from All Access Life.
Hi. We showcase adaptive products on social media.
Now, if you've been following us recently, you may have noticed Brad using a new device. He's been trying out the new TD Pilot, and this baby is awesome. This is the latest communication device from Toby Dynavox. It has eye tracking for iPad. Now, the first thing you guys are going to see when you open the box is a thank you card, some packing slips, a getting started guide, and some training cards. Next is a spare cord and an adjustable bracket. And now, TD Pilot.
That looks sick.
Seems like it'll really keep up with us, eh, bud? You hear that? Now you know it's secure. Time to turn this baby on.
The thing that stands out is the eye tracker. It even works outdoors.
Even on sunny days!
And, check out these cameras. I can post pics and video anywhere. Anytime.
Did you just take a picture of me? You posted that?
Ooh, ha 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 ha.
I really like what they've done here on the back.
Yes, the partner window.
Now, the other day, Brad and I were filming a video, and I actually forgot my line.
I fed it to him here.
Thanks, partner. Now, what's really got us talking is the new software on the device, TD Talk.
It lets me talk even faster.
Yo, Brad, hit us with the freestyle.
Look how fast I can type. Can you feel the hype?
Oh, that was sick! Which brings us to the speakers.
They are freaking awesome.
And last, a power charger.
To be honest, we don't stress if we don't have it with us.
This device lasts a long time. Overall, a thumbs up for me for the new TD Pilot.
I love it. 5 stars.
Let's see what kind of trouble we can get into with this thing.
Let's go. Living that all access life.
So yeah, that video was a lot of fun to film. We had a great time. And this device is honestly a huge game changer for sure. Brad's actually going to give you guys a live demo here in about 10 to 15 minutes. But for now, we did want to showcase some eye tracking gaming. So that's another thing that eye tracking has allowed Brad to do is play video games autonomously using nothing but his eyes. So in this video, we're going to show you some gameplay that some games that Brad plays. All right, guys. So this is the popular video game World of Warcraft. Brad is able to interact and control the character again with nothing but his eyes. It did take a little while for him to get used to the camera angles and stuff, but did work out very well. And this was the first time that Brad and I met virtually online in a video game. I was at my place, he was at his place, and together we were questing. I'll just stop it here for a sec. So this is a game called Hyperdot, and it has a built-in accessibility feature. So the point of this game is Brad has to move around that green circle using his eyes. So wherever Brad looks, the green circle will follow, and he has to dodge all the objects that are coming towards the green circle. So this game's a lot of fun, and there's various levels. I believe it goes from level 1 to 100, and each level gets progressively harder. So this is level 4 right here. As you can see, he's very focused. Level 6 right here. There we go. Now, level 7, this one gave Brad some issues here, but he's a determined young man, so he just kept at it until he beat it. He just kept going right back to that restart button. He finally got it. The cool thing about that game is it wasn't made specifically for eye tracking. There was various ways you can move the that green circle, but it was just cool that they built an eye tracking accessibility feature. So Brad and I, we work closely with gaming companies, and we're hoping to see some more eye tracking settings built within these games to make them more accessible for everyone. Finally, here we have one more video that we wanted to show you of software that actually recently came out a couple weeks ago called Look Labs by a company called Smartbox. It's kind of very simplistic eye tracking games. Brad and I, we always recommend them for anybody beginning their eye tracking journey, because they're very easy to play and they help with dexterity and aim. So this first game right here, Brad is controlling the hoop, the basket there, and he has to move his eyes left to right, so on like a horizontal plane, and he's got to get a basket, basically. Basketballs appear and he has to catch them. He's got to avoid the bombs. Oh. Next game here is kind of like the popular game Pong. So Brad is controlling this. Brad's controlling the platform right there, and it's this one's on a vertical plane, so you can either move it up or down. So he has to look up or down there to move it. You can also do some memory games here. So again, just a more cognitive ability games. This level gets more difficult. Fast forward just a little bit. There's also like a mouse game. So again, with your eyes, you have to control where the mouse goes. You got to capture the cheese and then escape the level. So again, just fun games that any eye tracker user can play, and it helps you learn how to interact with your eye tracking device. And Brad always advocates that it helps him, to communicate faster and use his communication software quicker. So he definitely enjoys playing these games. This one, this is more like a mindfulness game. It's very zen. So sometimes, we're having a stressful day at the office, Brad will just toss on this ball pit one, play some nice relaxing music, and he just looks around with his eye tracker, and it's very calming. And then lastly, there's also a painting one. So this one, you just choose your color, and very simplistic. You choose where you want to put the color, and then just have fun painting away. Yeah, we definitely like to see more of these styles of games coming out because they're a lot of fun for sure. And I believe the last one right here is a guitar. Brad's a big music buff, so he definitely loves the fact that he can play a guitar using his eyes. Yeah, so that's it in terms of our videos. So now we're going to do actually that we just started doing recently over the past couple months. Anytime we deliver these types of presentations, is Brad's going to be sharing his screen here. We're going to do kind of a live demo of basically whatever Brad's doing on his screen. He'll show you some games, some things that he likes to do, some smart home technology. And I'm going to have to try to keep up with him because he's very proficient at using this device and he's very quick. So hopefully I can keep up as he navigates. He's been using this device for roughly a year now. There we go. So I guess we'll explain the TD Talk. So yeah, this is his TD Talk software. So as you can see at the top, he has yes and no. So a lot of the time I'll ask Brad a simple yes and no question, and he can fire off a quick
yes. No.
Exactly. He then has the standard keyboard layout there. There's some word prediction buttons as well. So that makes typing a whole lot faster for sure. And now for this presentation, Brad had 4 lengthier parts. So what Brad does is he types out what he's going to say in these paragraphs here, then he saves them as buttons. So whenever it's Brad's turn to speak, he just looks at the play button and then it speaks out what he's typed. So that's TD Talk in a nutshell. Okay, so now he's going to close the TD Talk app here through the Apple accessibility setting called Assistive Touch. So that's the Assistive Touch menu right there. So the best way to describe it is anything that I could do with my finger on an iPad, Brad can do with his eyes through the Assistive Touch menu. So he's showing you guys right now, you can scroll. He's showing you, like, let's say if he wants to pinch and zoom in a photo and get an up close look, you could pinch and zoom with this right here. Going back to the Assistive Touch menu. Going back to tap here, and now I think he's going to show us some games here. Okay, so this is a Bubble Witch Saga here. It's one of Brad's favorite games. It's funny, you have to have a lot of dexterity. You have to have good aim here. Brad is a pro at this game. Yeah, you get colored bubbles, and you have to aim them and shoot them at other colored bubbles, and then. Yeah, I believe there's again, each level gets progressively harder. All right, go. Brad's got that red bubble there at the bottom. He's got to aim it at the other ones. There we go. Nice. Red bubble there. There we go. He's got a blue one, so he's got to aim it at the blue. As you can see, he's super quick. Hard to keep up with him. Oh, nice spell. Yeah, so that's Bubble Witch Saga. That's one of Brad's favorite games. I'd say top three favorite games. Okay, he's now going to show you guys how he calibrates the device. So depending on Brad's positioning and depending on like if we go outside or whatnot, or if he notices that he's having trouble hitting a certain letter on his keyboard, he'll calibrate the device. So he wanted to just show you guys the calibration process. So very simple. There's 9 dots that appear on the screen. So all Brad has to do here is look at the dots, and they explode. And then at the end of the calibration process, it'll tell him if he had a successful calibration or not. And there's no right or wrong answer to how many times a day you have to calibrate. There's some days he doesn't calibrate at all. There's some days he calibrates 3 or 4 times. It just Brad notices whenever it's off a little bit, and it can be because he's sitting up higher, sitting up lower. Sometimes he sits in like a recliner chair, so we'll recalibrate when he goes in there. And it just helps with the accuracy of the keyboard. And last one here. So now it'll give you the results on if you had a successful calibration. So we had successful, it's perfect. And he did great on each one, so it's good. And now it's calibrated perfectly to Brad's eyes. All right, okay, so Brad's got another game for us here. This game is called Heyday. This is probably Brad's favorite game, I'd say. He's on this one all the time there. This one's cool because it also has a social aspect to it. Plays with his family members and friends, and they all kind of have their own farms. Brad tends to his farm here, harvests various fruits and vegetables, and plants them as well. He definitely always has a blast playing this game. Right now he's holding and dragging. Popcorn pot, making some popcorn. Yeah, he definitely has a lot of fun playing that game, and just requires him to keep going back and tending to that farm. So what do you have in store for us next, Brad? Okay, yeah, so some smart home technology. So here at the office, we have pretty much everything Brad is able to interact with. So we found obviously the smart robots, the ones that vacuum and mop the floor. We purchased one of those. This one can do both vacuum and mop simultaneously. So we thought it'd be cool and very empowering for Brad to be able to use the app and use the robot to kind of clean wherever he wants. So right there, you're seeing a map of our office, and Brad is able to select exactly where he wants to clean. So let's say after he eats lunch, let's say if a couple of pasta noodles are on the floor, you can choose that section where he ate, clean up whatever spill. So he's showing you guys how we can move that around. We then have, this one's very cool. So this is the August Smart Lock. So Brad has the ability to lock and unlock our office door. So again, super empowering that Brad can choose who he lets in and who he doesn't. So right now the door is locked. It's red. All Brad has to do to unlock it is look at it. And now the lock just opened and it's green. So that'll tell you it's unlocked. It's always hilarious. Sometimes I go and get let's say a Subway sandwich next door, and I come back and then the door is locked and I'm trying to get in. I just hear Brad laughing on the other side of the door, so he controls if I come back or not. So again, super empowering, but he also uses it to mess around a little bit too. Let's see what Brad has in store for us next. Going back to the home screen here. Oh, camera. Selfie time. All right, we're taking a selfie, guys. Yeah, we just wanted to show you how Brad is totally able to take pictures by himself. He's often taking selfies. Right now, what he's going to do is he's going to set a 3-second timer. So that might be too close to you. Move that up a little bit. He's going to move the assistive touch bar a little bit up. There we go. He's going to put a 3-second timer. All right. Here we go. Nice. Yep. Oh, that's a good one. There it is. That's a poster. Sweet. So yeah, he's always taking selfies with this thing, always capturing videos, and it's so cool that Brad is also able to be our videographer as well. Oh, now he's going to our Instagram here. So yeah, so like you mentioned before, so Brad and I, we review a lot of adaptive technologies and products. So on our Instagram channel here, we do various reviews. We also just had a technology conference in Alabama. We played some video games with other attendees. That was a lot of fun. Showcased how we play video games, the head switches. There's Brad on the Xbox adaptive controller. His friend Hank playing with his foot, a foot switch. And myself using just a standard Xbox controller, and all of us are playing together as one. So that was very cool. Just showing you guys some other posts here on our feed. Yeah, we also train for marathons. So we just showcase training process. So this is me putting Brad in his gait trainer, and Brad training for, we have a marathon coming up in September 24th. So Brad's actually running the last 2.2 kilometers of that marathon. We still got a lot of training to do to get to that goal, but we have 2 months to do it. So we try to get in the gait trainer as much as possible. Oh yeah. So another thing we do too is just kind of showcase our day-to-day life. Here at the office, you know, I'm oftentimes feeding Brad or giving him a drink. And we had one of the people that follow us was just curious on how Brad eats and drinks. So we just decided to make a video showcasing the process. And sure enough, this video ended up getting, I believe it was 1.5 million views on Instagram and somewhere along the lines of 14 million on TikTok. So it's just so cool to us that people are interested in seeing these behind the scenes videos. So we'll definitely be doing a lot more of that as well. And I think Brad's gonna post that picture right now just to show you guys. So again, just super empowering, the fact that you know, he's able to do all this stuff with his eyes, and in a fraction of the time it used to take him on the Dynavox. There we go. We got a fresh news story. Nice. Yeah, so that's the Brad's device in a nutshell. I guess at this point we can
Thanks.
we can open up the floor to any questions you guys have. If you guys want to see Brad play, open one of the apps, play a game, whatever questions you guys have, more than happy to answer them. Okay, I'm seeing Robert mentioned, where are you at? So we are from Montreal, Canada. That's where we're based out of. Courtney says, "Oh my God, you guys are hysterical." Thank you very much, Courtney. Appreciate that. We've worked together for 13 years, so we'd like to showcase our sense of humor and our friendship inside these videos too. So we definitely have fun.
Ha ha.
Appreciate that, Kathleen. Thank you.
Question in the chat too. What was it like learning to use speech to text?
It wasn't really hard to learn for myself.
Yeah, I think coming from a communication book, he kind of built the foundation through that.
Yes.
And then when he transferred over to the like text to speech there on the Dynavox, I believe it was the 3100 at the time. Yeah, I think it was a smooth transition.
Yes.
We have a question from our in-person participants about
Awesome.
the games that you were playing.
Yes.
Typically the one where you work coloring with your eyes. What's the name of that game?
So yeah, it's called Look Labs. It's a new software that Smartbox, the company Smartbox, just released. I believe you can get a 30-day free trial, so definitely worth checking that out.
Yes.
And yeah, they're just very simple to use games and very user friendly.
Look Lab.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, Brad, you look like you're a good gamer, so I might need some recommendations of some other games too.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
He definitely is, yeah, for sure. That's what the coolest thing is, you know. He grew up watching his friends and family play video games, and now, 26 years later, he's finally able to unleash his inner gamer that he's always wanted to play games.
Yes.
It's amazing how far we've come with in terms of accessibility. Somebody asked, is Look Labs compatible with TD products? So we haven't tested it yet on the TD Pilot. Brad was playing that on the Microsoft Surface Book 3 laptop. So we'll have to get back to you on that, Bethany, because we're still not 100% sure on that one.
Can you also send us some recommendations for other games you like to play that are accessible, like outside of Look Lab on your TD Pilot? Some apps that you recommend?
Bubble Witch Saga.
Yeah, he's definitely a big fan of that one. For sure.
I don't think we have any more questions from our in-person participants. Is there anybody on the chat who has any questions for Brad and Dan?
And if you guys can think of any questions after this, we're more than happy if you reach out to us on social media.
Yes.
Very active on there. So just send us a message and we'll definitely get back to you.
It looks like we have one question that just came in. You guys clearly have such a strong relationship. What were some of the challenges you encountered, if any, transitioning to being business partners?
Ooh, good question. That's a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take the reins on this one? So I would say just myself, the transition, I mean, it was pretty smooth. You know, Brad and I, before we started this business, we had worked together for what was probably like 7 years, 8 years. So it was
Yes.
when he transferred over to college, I remained his full-time aide there. And then I believe it was 1 or 2 years into college, we just decided, you know, like we're so knowledgeable on the adaptive products because we're constantly searching ourselves. And
I would say communication.
yeah, exactly. So we had to work a lot on communication for sure. You know, just being authentic and open and honest with one another. Here at the office, you know, we always spend the first hour or two of each day just communicating, just figuring out, you know, what our needs are.
Yes.
For the most part, though, it's been a seamless transition for sure.
Wonderful. Well, we'd like to thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much, guys. We highly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks so much. It was so wonderful to meet you both.
Well, likewise, right back at you, and best of luck with the
Yes.
big graduation tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks so much. All right, we're going to go ahead and end the webinar. Take care, everyone.
Take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in.